Some people vanish because they are broken. Others vanish because they are being rebuilt. And if these words reach you now, it is because life is calling you into a season meant only for the few, a winter not of cold, but of transformation so severe that even you will not recognize the man who emerges. You have fought long enough to know that strength alone is no longer enough. The same routines that once helped you survive are now the chains holding you down. Your soul feels restless, not because you are failing, but because you are being summoned to rise into a version of yourself the world has never seen. Think about the weight you've been carrying, the endless battles, the days when hope felt thin, and the nights when doubt wrapped itself around your chest. Anyone else would have broken by now, but you didn't. And that is the proof that something greater is being prepared through you. There is a reason winter exists in nature, a reason everything goes quiet, a reason growth retreats beneath the surface. Winter is not death, it is discipline. It is the season where the roots strengthen, unseen, so that when spring returns, life explodes with unstoppable force. Your winter season has arrived. Imagine what would happen if you withdrew from the noise for 90 days, away from the opinions, away from the distractions, away from the people who benefit from your stagnation. Imagine facing the silence long enough to hear your own purpose again. Most men try to change while remaining visible, while still entertaining the same temptations, the same influences, the same patterns. But real transformation demands disappearance. It demands separation from the familiar. It demands a deliberate retreat so that you can rebuild the mind that will lead your future. Ask yourself, what if the exhaustion you feel is not a sign to quit, but a sign to enter this secluded season? What if the weakness you sense is not collapse, but transition? What if the version of you that is tired of fighting is simply the last version of you that will ever live this way? Picture this. 90 days from now, you walk back into the world and everything about you has changed. Your posture, your discipline, your clarity, your confidence. People look at you and cannot understand how you became so focused, so certain, so unshakable in such a short time. They will not know the truth. While they were drifting, you were rebuilding. While they were seeking comfort, you were strengthening your spirit. While they repeated the same year, you prepared to create an entirely new life. And think of the alternative. If you refuse this winter season, if you continue fighting with no direction, no solitude, no strategy, you will carry the same battles into the next year and the next, until every dream you once held quietly dies from neglect. But if you accept this call to disappear, if you choose depth over distraction, discipline over drift, silence over noise, then the next 90 days will become the foundation for the next decade of your life. Your future family will thank you. Your destiny will thank you. Even your past self will thank you. This message did not arrive by accident. It arrived because you are at the edge of a transformation that demands privacy, intensity, and unwavering commitment. Step into your winter season. Let the world see you again only when you are unrecognizable. Every great transformation begins in silence. Every man destined for mastery must first withdraw from the world that built his former self. Solitude is not punishment. It is initiation. It is the divine threshold where one passes from the noise of the ordinary into the stillness of the extraordinary. The man who learns to walk alone learns to walk with infinite intelligence, for truth does not shout, it whispers. When a man begins to withdraw from the noise of the crowd, his mind protests. It calls him back toward comfort, conversation, and the familiar rhythm of distraction. But every sound that once soothed him now enslaves him, for he cannot build a new identity while surrounded by echoes of the old. He must step away. He must dare to vanish for a time. Only in that sacred withdrawal will he discover who he truly is beneath the habits that disguised him. Isolation is not escape, it is elevation. It is not the running away from responsibility, but the return to purpose. To retreat is not to retreat from life, but to retreat into life, deeper and truer than before. Every seed must first be buried before it blossoms. The same law governs the human spirit. You must be hidden before you can be revealed, and you must die to the noise before you can live to the law. When I speak of disappearance, I do not mean idleness. I mean deliberate solitude. It is a disciplined separation where thought is purified and desire is tested. Those who fear being alone will never master themselves, for their strength is borrowed from others. But he who can stand in silence and remain at peace has found communion with infinite intelligence itself. Solitude is not the absence of company. It is the presence of God. In this 90-day covenant, you must begin by stepping away from the world's constant pull. Reduce the noise, reduce the motion, reduce the company of those who drain you. The goal is not to become a hermit, but to become whole. For 90 days, your life becomes a workshop of the soul. Each hour is a tool, each thought a chisel shaping the unseen. The first days of isolation will test you. The mind, unaccustomed to silence, will rebel. You will feel restless, anxious, even lonely. But understand this discomfort for what it is, the ache of dependency breaking. The modern man depends upon distraction to escape from himself. The master depends upon silence to find himself. When you feel the first wave of loneliness, rejoice. It means you are beginning to hear your own mind again. The world glorifies constant activity, but infinite intelligence glorifies stillness. The greatest inventions, the greatest discoveries, the greatest victories of spirit were all born in the quiet workshop of the mind. Lincoln found his clarity in reflection. Edison found his breakthroughs in solitude, his mind tuned to the unseen law. Carnegie spent years planning in silence before steel became his empire. The world saw their rise. It did not see their silence. The unseen law of transformation demands every man disappear before he can reappear greater. The caterpillar is not destroyed in the cocoon. It is transformed by it. So too must you enter your own cocoon of solitude where your mind dissolves old identities and shapes a new one. The world will not understand. They will call your stillness stagnation, your retreat weakness. Let them speak. For when you return, their words will die in their throats at the sight of what you have become. The 90 days ahead are sacred. They are not an experiment. They are an agreement between you and your higher self. You are making a covenant to rebuild, to renew, and to reemerge as the architect of your destiny. For 3 months, you will live by different laws. The hours will belong to purpose. The silence will belong to growth. The mind will belong to you again. Each morning will begin with intention. Speak to yourself words of command. I withdraw to renew. In silence, I rebuild. The unseen roots sustain the tree. These are not phrases. They are signals to infinite intelligence that you are ready to listen. The universe does not respond to noise. It responds to command. And no command is stronger than a decision obeyed in silence. The difference between being alone and being aligned is understanding. The man who is alone complains of emptiness. The man who is aligned rejoices in fullness. Solitude is not a vacuum. It is a vessel filled with unseen presence. Infinite intelligence does not speak through chaos. It speaks through calm. In stillness, you begin to hear instructions meant only for you. That voice does not argue, does not demand, it guides. You must now practice what I call mental fasting. Just as the body grows stronger when cleansed of impurities, so too does the mind grow powerful when freed from excess. Reduce the noise of unnecessary conversation, the reading of trivial things, the listening to idle talk. Feed the mind only what builds faith, order, and imagination. Every moment of attention is a form of nourishment. Choose wisely what you consume. Do not expect others to understand your withdrawal. They will say you have changed, that you are distant, that you are cold. Let them say it. The man who lives for approval lives as a prisoner. True transformation requires misunderstanding. The world cannot grasp the value of a seed buried underground. It judges by sight, while the Creator judges by purpose. The world will think you are vanishing. Infinite intelligence knows you are preparing. There is a purifying fire in solitude. It burns away the false ambitions, the borrowed opinions, the needless fears. It leaves only the essential. You will come face to face with truths you have avoided, truths about your habits, your weaknesses, your wasted hours. Do not flee them. Look upon them as the craftsman looks upon rough metal. You are seeing what must be melted, hammered, and shaped. Remember that every man must separate from the crowd before he leads it. History remembers the names of those who dared to step apart. The thinker who left the company of doubt. The inventor who ignored ridicule. The leader who endured isolation before recognition. Each was called mad before he was called great. The same will be said of you if you obey this law, but know this: madness in the eyes of mediocrity is often genius in the eyes of God. As your solitude deepens, you will begin to see your own mind with clarity. You will recognize how easily it has been pulled by every noise, how quickly it surrendered to distraction. You will learn that thought, when undirected, becomes its own prison. But as you reclaim control, you will feel power returning like blood to a numbed limb. That first taste of control is the spark that will sustain you through the 90 days. Think of this period as your winter. The tree does not blossom in winter, yet its roots strengthen beneath the frost. Growth retreats beneath the surface to prepare for abundance. You too must go beneath the surface of your life. Away from applause, away from comparison, away from noise. This is where your unseen strength will grow, preparing you for the harvest of spring. Each day of solitude is a rehearsal for mastery. The mind learns to obey you. The body learns to follow. You begin to feel the rhythm of purpose replacing the chaos of impulse. The old desires still whisper, but their voices weaken as your will strengthens. Every hour spent in deliberate quiet is an hour invested in future command. You must view these 90 days not as an escape from duty, but as your highest duty. No man can lead, build, or create beyond the level of his own mind. The leader must lead himself first. The builder must build himself before structures. The creator must create within before creating without. This is the purpose of your disappearance, to reestablish dominion over the one kingdom that rules all others, the kingdom of thought. During this time, measure your success not by accomplishment, but by alignment. Ask not, what did I achieve today, but was I faithful to my purpose today? For the man who stays faithful to purpose will inevitably achieve beyond his own imagination. Infinite intelligence rewards consistency over speed, intention over motion. Know that the world's misunderstanding of solitude hides its greatest secret. They believe silence is empty. They do not know it is full. They believe isolation weakens. They do not see it strengthens. They believe the man who withdraws is lost. They do not realize he is being found. Every misconception of solitude is a reflection of fear, fear of meeting oneself, but you must not fear yourself, for within you dwells the very intelligence that shaped the stars. There will be nights when the silence feels heavy. Your mind will replay old failures, regrets, and doubts. Let them surface. Observe them without judgment, and then release them. You are not your past. You are the architect of what comes next. In solitude, the mind reveals its debris so that you may sweep it clean. Each fear released is a brick removed from the wall that separates you from purpose. The man who endures quiet long enough discovers something profound. He begins to hear truth in his own voice, not the voice of society, not the voice of comparison, But the voice that has waited beneath layers of distraction, that voice does not flatter. It commands. It does not offer comfort. It offers direction. When you hear it, obey it without delay, for it is the whisper of infinite intelligence speaking through your soul. By the time these 90 days reach their close, you will not only think differently, you will feel differently. The restlessness that once haunted you will transform into calm. The noise that once ruled you will fall silent before your will. The habits that once dictated your days will bow before your discipline. And when you step again into the world, you will not re-enter it as you were. You will return as one who carries the silence within. This, my friend, is the first stage of rebirth. Solitude is the womb of greatness. Disappear for 90 days. Withdraw not to escape, but to rebuild. Allow the noise to fade until you can hear the quiet rhythm of infinite intelligence moving through you. For when the world next sees you, it will not recognize you, but it will feel your power. Once a man has stepped into solitude, he will quickly discover that silence alone is not enough. Solitude without structure becomes idleness. The man who withdraws but does not command his hours will find that his thoughts drift like unbroken horses, wild and directionless. Discipline, therefore, is the furnace in which the raw ore of isolation is refined into strength. It is not the enemy of freedom, it is its foundation. Discipline is the invisible bridge between the man you are and the man you are destined to become. Many imagine freedom as the absence of control, but the wise know freedom as perfect control of self. Every law of the universe testifies to order. The planets move in fixed rhythm. The tides rise and fall by law. The same intelligence that governs the stars governs your destiny, and it demands alignment, not chaos. When a man begins to impose order upon himself, he mirrors that divine law. He becomes a co-worker with infinite intelligence, no longer a wanderer, lost in the winds of emotion. Each act of control, waking early, thinking clearly, working deliberately, is a declaration of allegiance to the universal order. The undisciplined man violates that law, and life punishes him with confusion, fatigue, and misfortune. You must therefore treat discipline as sacred. Make it your silent companion, your invisible general, your constant guide. Begin your days with purpose and end them with review. Let every hour serve your intention. Structure is not confinement. It is concentration. The archer cannot strike the target without a bow, nor can the mind strike achievement without structure. During these 90 days, the rhythm of your life must become as exact as the rhythm of nature. Rise at the same hour. Work in fixed blocks. Study at chosen times. Speak less than you think. Waste nothing. Not time, not thought, not energy. The man who masters these small acts of control soon discovers that his mind begins to obey him as faithfully as a soldier obeys command. You will meet resistance at first. Laziness will whisper, rest a little. Fear will suggest, wait for motivation. But discipline does not wait for feeling, it acts from principle. The disciplined man does not consult emotion, he instructs it. He does not ask, do I feel like it? He says, it is time. The man who acts only when inspired will be ruled by moods. The man who acts from decision will rule them. Consider how the great builders of fortune mastered this law. Henry Ford repeated the same experiments countless times until his ideas conformed to his will. John D. Rockefeller practiced deliberate order in all things, his books, his habits, his speech. His calm during chaos was not accident. It was discipline matured into instinct. George Washington, even in the hardship of war, maintained precise conduct, knowing that leadership demands visible order. Discipline begins with small acts. The man who cannot keep his bed in order will not keep his mind in order. The man who neglects the simple duties will fail in the greater ones. For this reason, let your surroundings reflect your purpose. Let your space be neat, your tools clean, your environment aligned with your vision. A chaotic desk often hides a chaotic mind. A man's outer world is a mirror of his inner kingdom. If you wish to know the measure of a man, observe not what he does once, but what he repeats daily. Repetition is the silent sculptor of character. Each act of obedience to principle carves deeper grooves of strength. The weak wait for strength to act, the strong act to become strong. The law rewards repetition, for it recognizes faithfulness. When I speak of discipline, I speak of spiritual architecture. You are building a temple of order for infinite intelligence to dwell in. Chaos repels power. Structure attracts it. The same law that forms the universe forms success. It favors the consistent. The man who repeats right actions with unwavering spirit becomes unstoppable, not because of force, but because of alignment with eternal law. You will find that as your days grow structured, your thoughts become calm. The mind finds peace not in indulgence, but in command. The body, too, will obey its new rhythm. It will wake with energy, eat with awareness, rest with ease. You will feel fatigue at first, for the old habits will fight to survive. But each day you persist. The furnace burns away another layer of weakness. You must learn to regard effort as sacred. The world fears effort, but infinite intelligence honors it. No man ever became great without learning to work long after comfort had departed. The mind expands when challenged. The will strengthens when stretched. If you endure discomfort with faith, it becomes discipline. If you flee discomfort in fear, it becomes defeat. Let me tell you a truth that few understand. Comfort is the most dangerous drug known to man. It seduces the strong into stagnation, the intelligent into complacency. Comfort is the slow death of purpose. The disciplined man does not despise comfort, he masters it. He uses rest as renewal, not as escape. He eats not for pleasure alone, but for fuel. He works not for approval, but for the joy of directed power. You will begin to see discipline not as limitation, but as liberation. For the first time, you will taste the peace that comes from control. When others panic, you will remain centered. When others waste days in drift, you will move with quiet precision. Those around you will sense the difference. Your tone will grow firm, your eyes steady, your movements deliberate. They will not understand it, but they will respect it. Each repetition of order builds self-respect. The man who keeps his word to himself gains confidence no one can give or take. Every morning that you rise on time is a victory over doubt. Every meal eaten with intention is a triumph over chaos. Every task completed despite fatigue is a monument to will. The weak seek external encouragement. The strong draw power from internal command. Let these affirmations become the rhythm of your days. I command my time. My habits serve my destiny. Discipline is my chosen law. Speak them with authority, not as pleas, but as decrees. The subconscious mind listens to repetition and shapes your identity accordingly. Say them in the morning to declare direction. Say them at night to seal your progress. Words backed by action become law within the self. The man who is faithful in small order gains access to greater power. Infinite intelligence entrusts responsibility only to those who can govern themselves. If you cannot rule your own impulses, you cannot rule circumstance. This is why discipline is not merely a tool. It is a measure of worthiness. The universe gives more to the man who proves capable of more. I once observed that most men live as slaves to their own undirected thoughts. They wake without aim, speak without purpose, act without conviction. They drift from day to day, believing themselves free while chained by indecision. The disciplined man, however, lives as master. He is bound by his own command, yet that command becomes his crown. The great secret of discipline is that it transforms repetition into revelation. When you do the same thing with full attention, you begin to see deeper laws within it. The craftsman who repeats his task learns precision. The thinker who revisits ideas discovers new depth. The man who repeats his purpose daily finds faith repetition, practiced with awareness, becomes meditation. There will come days when you are weary of your own order. The routine will feel dull, the silence heavy, the progress slow. Those are the days that matter most. For perseverance during monotony builds the rarest virtue of all, stability. Anyone can act when inspired. Few can continue when inspiration is gone. But it is in those uninspired hours that character cements itself into permanence. Discipline also refines patience. The impatient man rushes and breaks the rhythm of law. He demands harvest without sowing, reward without endurance. The patient man works steadily, knowing that time itself is an instrument of infinite intelligence. When you act in harmony with divine timing, your results appear without strain. Patience is not waiting. It is calm confidence that every seed will sprout in its appointed hour. During this period, you will also come to value simplicity. The fewer distractions you permit, the greater your focus becomes. Remove excess possessions, excess conversations, excess opinions. Simplicity clears the channel for power. A man cluttered with trivial things cannot receive great ones. Each unnecessary thing you release strengthens your grip upon purpose. The disciplined man soon discovers that his self-control inspires trust. Others will begin to rely upon him. They will see in his eyes a certainty that commands confidence. Opportunities will come to him not because he chases them, but because discipline has made him magnetic. Power seeks order. Chaos repels it. Discipline also breeds humility. When you live under self-imposed law, you cease to judge others for their weakness. You understand the price of mastery, and therefore you honor the struggle of others. This humility keeps you close to infinite intelligence, for pride closes the channel through which wisdom flows. The disciplined man learns to serve before he commands, to obey principle before he seeks influence. The greatest obstacle you will face in this furnace is inconsistency. The mind, untrained, will try to negotiate. It will whisper excuses. Skip this task. No one will notice. But you must remember, every act of negligence strengthens doubt. Every act of completion strengthens faith. Life is a ledger. Every moment writes a line upon it, and your balance of strength or weakness depends upon what you deposit daily. During your 90-day transformation, make every repetition an act of worship. When you work, work as though infinite intelligence observes. When you study, study as if the future depends upon your understanding, which it does. When you rest, rest as though you are storing power for purpose. Such awareness turns common acts into sacred ones. Discipline will reveal its true gift, inner peace. A mind governed by order no longer fears the unexpected, for it knows it can respond with control. This peace is not lethargy, it is power at rest. It is the quiet assurance that no matter what comes, you remain the master of your response. Such peace cannot be purchased. It must be earned through the furnace of consistent action. When you have lived by discipline long enough, it ceases to feel forced. It becomes nature. You no longer struggle to obey. You desire to obey. You feel discomfort in laziness, unrest in disorder, impatience in idleness. The habits that once resisted you now protect you. Discipline has become your armor. Others will notice. They will sense something different. Your steadiness under pressure, your composure in uncertainty. Some will admire you. Others will envy you. But all will feel that you have tapped into a law they do not yet understand. They will call it luck or temperament, but you will know it as alignment with order. Continue in this way until your routine becomes rhythm and your rhythm becomes identity. For when discipline has fully formed within you, every thought, word, and act will move as one harmonious expression of will. The furnace of repetition will have melted away weakness, leaving only the steel of purpose. Remember these words: the man who commands himself commands the world. for the outer world is but a reflection of the inner. The chaos of circumstances bows to the order of mind. The man who has mastered his habits has mastered his fate. So continue. Let discipline be your daily fire. Let order be your altar. Let every hour bear witness that you are no longer ruled by impulse, but by principle. For when the 90 days pass, the world will not only see that you are changed, it will feel the vibration of mastery emanating from your presence. I command my time. My habits serve my destiny. Discipline is my chosen law. Speak these truths until they become you, for they are the bridge that carries a man from obscurity to power, from drift to direction, from wish to will. After the body has been disciplined and the hours of the day brought under command, the next battlefield opens within, the mind itself. The mind is the true engine of every man's destiny. It is both the master and the servant, the builder and the destroyer, the architect and the demolition crew. If it is not trained, it will build prisons instead of palaces, excuses instead of empires. But once the mind is reconstructed with purpose, it becomes the instrument through which infinite intelligence performs miracles. When I speak of reconstruction, I speak of deliberate rebuilding, the conscious design of thought, belief, and imagination. Few men ever realize that the mind, like the muscles, must be shaped through use and direction. The majority allow circumstance to mold their thinking, absorbing the noise of the world until their own voice disappears beneath it. The man who has endured isolation and discipline now stands ready to reclaim authorship of his own thought. To reconstruct the mind, a man must first tear down its unexamined structures. Every belief not born of faith must be tested. Every thought that breeds fear must be challenged. The untrained mind is a mansion built by strangers. It must be emptied and rebuilt with your own design. You cannot inhabit peace in a house filled with doubt. You must evict every false tenant that whispers limitation. The first principle of mental reconstruction is that thought creates form. Every object, every structure, every achievement that exists in the visible world first existed in the invisible mind of a man who dared to imagine it. The world is nothing more than thought crystallized. Therefore, to change your world, you must first change your thought. This is not poetry, it is law. What you hold long enough in the mind begins to seek expression in the material realm. This is why I call imagination the builder of destiny. It is the divine faculty through which man participates in creation itself. But imagination alone is not enough. It must be joined with faith. Faith gives imagination direction, and direction gives it power. The dream without faith drifts into fantasy. Faith without imagination stagnates into blind obedience. The combination of both produces mastery. To rebuild your mind, you must become an architect of thought. Each morning, begin with construction. Lay the foundation with affirmations that reflect your chosen identity. Speak them not as wishes, but as commands. I build my mind in the pattern of power. My imagination obeys my faith. My thoughts are my servants. Every declaration is a brick in the temple of your new self. The subconscious does not question the commands it receives. It builds according to instruction. You must guard your speech as fiercely as a soldier guards the gate. Every word you utter reinforces a pattern in your mind. Words of fear summon weakness. Words of faith summon power. If you would reconstruct your mind, you must reconstruct your language. Never say, I cannot. Never say, I lack. Never say, I hope. Replace them with, I will, I create, I am. The mind obeys the language of certainty. During your 90 days, this reconstruction becomes your central labor. Set aside an hour each day for directed thought. Choose one idea, courage, abundance, purpose, clarity, and contemplate it deeply. Ask yourself how it should appear in your life. Picture it with vivid detail. Feel it until it becomes real within. This practice, simple as it seems, is the most powerful of all disciplines. For the mind that dwells upon a single truth becomes shaped by it. The law of concentration declares that whatever the mind continually focuses upon must eventually express itself in form. If you think on fear, you attract obstacles. If you think on purpose, you attract paths. Infinite intelligence does not decide what to give you. It merely reflects what you have chosen to hold. Thus, your thoughts are not private. They are blueprints for your future. Think now of Edison, who carried within his imagination the image of light when the world still sat in darkness. Think of Carnegie, who saw cities of steel in his mind while the earth still held only ore. Think of Lincoln, who saw a unified nation when it seemed forever divided. They each held a single vision long enough for infinite intelligence to respond with reality. Persistence in thought is as vital as persistence in action. The man who has not trained his imagination will find it ruled by fear. He pictures failure before he begins, rejection before he speaks, defeat before he moves. These images are poison, for the subconscious cannot tell the difference between vision and fact. It builds the pattern it receives. Thus, guard your imagination as you would guard your fortune. Feed it with pictures of victory, of calm, of abundance, of mastery. To assist this reconstruction, practice what I call silent rehearsal. Each night before you sleep, close your eyes and imagine yourself living the habits and conditions you desire. See yourself rising with confidence, working with purpose, speaking with clarity. Walk through these scenes until they feel natural. The subconscious mind, impressed by repetition, will begin to act them out. What the mind rehearses in silence, it performs in life. Many men fail because they train their minds unconsciously. They allow impressions of doubt, envy, and criticism to fill their mental workshop, and then wonder why their world reflects confusion. You must be deliberate. Every book you read, every word you hear, every image you behold is instruction to the mind. During these 90 days, be ruthless about your inputs. Feed only faith, study only greatness, observe only what uplifts. Repetition is the chisel of the mind. Each time you repeat a thought of power, you carve it deeper into your mental structure. At first, the mind resists, for it is loyal to its former master, habit. But repetition wears down resistance. It is the steady dripping of water that shapes the stone. Repeat until belief replaces effort, until faith replaces doubt, until thought itself becomes obedience. Remember that your mind is the garden of your destiny. Every thought planted there will grow according to its nature. The weeds of fear and self-pity require no effort. They appear naturally. The flowers of courage and faith require cultivation. Tend to them daily. Pull out every weed of complaint before it spreads. Water every seed of gratitude before it withers. The mind neglected becomes a wilderness. The mind tended becomes paradise. As this reconstruction advances, you will notice a transformation that cannot be measured by outward signs alone. You will think more clearly, yes, but more than that, you will feel lighter. Confusion will fade. Purpose will sharpen. Decisions once paralyzing will become simple. You will begin to see opportunity where once you saw difficulty. This is not illusion. It is new perception born of new construction. Others will begin to sense it as well. They may not understand, but they will feel it. Your voice will carry new weight. Your silence will feel full instead of empty. You will walk with composure even under pressure. People will ask what has changed, but you will know that nothing external has shifted. It is your mind, rebuilt according to divine design. The more your inner world aligns with order, the more your outer world will begin to mirror it. Circumstances that once resisted you will yield people who once ignored you will listen. Opportunities that seemed closed will open. This is the law of correspondence. As within, so without. The universe arranges itself around the dominant image held within your consciousness. During this process, guard against impatience. The mind rebuilds gradually, like a craftsman perfecting his instrument. Doubt may whisper, "Nothing is changing." But faith replies, "Everything is changing, though I cannot yet see it." Continue to affirm, continue to visualize, continue to repeat. The results will come not as a single event, but as a dawning realization that your outer life has quietly followed your inner design. You will find also that your emotions obey this reconstruction. The man who once felt trapped in anxiety will find peace. The man who once lived in fear will act with calm emotion as thought made visible. When thought is purified, emotion becomes stable. You will no longer be ruled by moods, for your mind will no longer create them at random. Instead, you will live with deliberate feeling, peace when you choose, confidence when you command. It is during this reconstruction that faith becomes more than belief. It becomes a method. Faith is no longer an abstract idea. It is the practiced habit of holding a vision with certainty until it manifests. This is why faith is the greatest power on earth. It allows man to act as co-creator with infinite intelligence. Through faith joined with thought, the invisible becomes visible, the impossible becomes inevitable. At times, you will find old patterns trying to reassert themselves. Doubts will rise. The old inner voice will whisper, "You cannot change." This is the final defense of the old mind. When it comes, answer it calmly. That man no longer exists. Speak it firmly. You are not resisting the old self. You are replacing him. Every moment of calm faith in the face of doubt is a victory. Be patient with yourself. Mental reconstruction is not a single act, but a process of refinement. Even the finest architect revises his blueprints. You are re-educating the mind to think as a master, not a victim. It takes time for the subconscious to forget its old orders and follow new ones, but persist. And soon you will find that every part of your being moves in harmony with your purpose. By the close of these 90 days, you will look upon your own thoughts as one might look upon loyal servants, ready, willing, and obedient. No longer will they scatter in fear or run toward distraction. They will stand in formation, waiting for command. When you say, "I will," they will answer, "Yes." This is mastery of mind, and it is the true beginning of dominion over life. The old world teaches men to conquer others. The law of success teaches men to conquer themselves. The greatest victory you will ever achieve is this: to look within and find peace, to know that your thoughts now serve you rather than enslave you. When you reach this point, your reconstruction is complete. Say to yourself before rest each night, "My thoughts are obedient to my will. I see only that which serves my purpose. Each thought I hold builds the world I desire." Speak these words until your subconscious sings them back to you in dreams. For the man whose mind is disciplined and directed cannot be defeated. He walks through life as an instrument of infinite intelligence, guided by clarity, sustained by faith, and destined for greatness. When a man has disciplined his body and reconstructed his mind, there still remains one realm he must master: the spirit. For it is the spirit that breathes life into all effort. Without renewal of spirit, discipline becomes routine, and thought becomes machinery. It is the inner flame that gives meaning to motion. It is the silent current that carries a man forward when logic falters and evidence fails. This is the hour when faith must rise from concept to certainty. Faith is not a mere belief in something unseen. It is the knowledge of divine order guiding all things. It is the quiet assurance that infinite intelligence does not abandon its creation, but works ceaselessly through it. The man who renews his spirit learns to cooperate with this invisible companion, to walk in step with a higher rhythm. You have built structure through discipline. You have designed form through thought. Now you must invite spirit to breathe into that form the breath of power. The body obeys law. The mind obeys thought. but the spirit obeys only alignment. Alignment is the state in which man's will and divine will are one and the same. It is the stillness in which the human voice and the voice of infinite intelligence speak as one. This renewal begins with recognition. You must come to know that there exists within you a power higher than reason, a wisdom older than experience. This power is not separate from you. It is you, the eternal part. The purpose of all discipline and reconstruction is to clear the channel through which this spirit can flow. You do not create the power, you permit it. The man who tries to manufacture power by effort exhausts himself. The man who allows it through faith becomes inexhaustible. I call this presence the silent companion. It does not shout. It does not argue. It guides. It speaks in the calm of intuition, the gentle nudge of conscience, the quiet certainty that whispers, "This is the way." To hear it, a man must learn to listen more than he speaks, to trust more than he questions. The noise of the world and the noise of the mind drown its voice, but when both fall silent, the companion steps forward. You may recognize this companion not by sight, but by feeling. When it speaks, anxiety dissolves. When it directs, confusion clears. Its guidance never flatters pride, yet always strengthens courage. It leads not toward ease, but toward purpose. It asks not, what will bring comfort, but what will fulfill destiny. To follow it is to obey the same law that moved the prophets, the inventors, the builders of civilization. Abraham Lincoln leaned upon this companion when the nation trembled. In the loneliness of leadership, he prayed not for lighter burdens, but for broader shoulders. Henry Ford trusted it when his factories lay silent and his fortune in doubt. He listened inwardly and persisted where reason warned retreat. Thomas Edison, after countless failures, remained certain that the law of success had not abandoned him because he felt the invisible partnership that never fails the faithful. Faith, when understood, is not emotion. It is not hope dressed in trembling. Faith is obedience to the unseen law. The man of faith acts not because he feels confident, but because he knows the law rewards persistence, order, and belief. He moves forward as the farmer plants, without seeing the harvest, but trusting the season. Such a man walks with quiet authority, for he does not depend upon outer reassurance. His certainty is internal, and it is unshakable. Fatigue will still come, but the man of spirit no longer interprets fatigue as failure. He sees it as proof of service to purpose. The body tires because it has been put to use. The spirit renews itself because it has been aligned. Every moment of exhaustion becomes a reminder that you are still moving, still building, still living in obedience to your call. When you rest in gratitude, even fatigue becomes sacred. Understand the difference between praying and commanding. Most men pray as beggars, asking life to grant them what they doubt they deserve. They plead for relief, yet speak the language of fear. The man of faith prays as a co-creator. He does not petition, he aligns. He does not ask timidly, "May I?" He declares, "It is done." His prayer is a statement of unity with law. When he speaks, infinite intelligence acts through him, for his words are its own. This, then, is the renewal of spirit, to pass from asking to knowing, from seeking to being, to wake each day certain that the same law that turns the planets also turns your purpose. You are not apart from this law. You are its instrument. When you act in harmony with it, nothing can truly oppose you. Opposition may delay, it cannot defeat. Delay itself is often protection, for infinite intelligence prepares paths the impatient man would have ruined by haste. Learn to recognize divine timing. When doors do not open, perhaps the path behind them is not yet built. When silence follows your effort, perhaps the echo is still returning. When loss arrives, perhaps it clears space for greater possession. Faith interprets all events as movement toward good. It is the refusal to believe in waste. It is the conviction that infinite intelligence never miscalculates. The man renewed in spirit lives differently. His eyes no longer dart in fear. They rest in calm observation. His hands no longer tremble in haste. They move with measured purpose. He no longer speaks anxiously of outcomes. He speaks confidently of direction. Others feel his peace as strength. Though they cannot explain it, he carries a quiet authority, for he has ceased to resist life and begun to cooperate with it. Each day, spend time in communion with the unseen. Sit in silence, not to escape work, but to renew your alignment with it. Listen inwardly. The mind will wander at first, but bring it back gently as a shepherd guides his flock. In this stillness, you may receive impressions, ideas, insights, gentle urgings. Do not dismiss them. They are the language of infinite intelligence. Write them down. Act upon them when guided. Each act of obedience to that inner voice strengthens your connection. The renewal of spirit transforms prayer into partnership. You cease to feel alone. Even in difficulty, you feel accompanied. You sense an invisible strength beside you. It steadies you in trials, sharpens you in decision, sustains you in effort. This is not imagination. It is the law of vibration. Every thought of faith raises your frequency to meet the higher currents of power. The more faithfully you align with purpose, the stronger the current flows. Gratitude becomes your new habit of thought. Gratitude is faith expressed. When you give thanks before the harvest, you demonstrate belief in the harvest. When you give thanks during adversity, you declare dominion over it. Gratitude converts fear into reverence, delay into preparation, struggle into sanctification. The man who lives in gratitude cannot remain weak, for he lives in constant remembrance of divine partnership. Repeat often these affirmations of renewal. Infinite intelligence directs my path. My faith is calm because it is certain. I am guided by the law that governs all success. I do not struggle, I align. Speak these slowly, not as poetry, but as declaration. Speak until the heart believes and the body obeys. When the words and the spirit unite, the law responds. As your spirit renews, you will find that opportunity seeks you. People will appear whose aid you did not request. Circumstances will unfold with perfect timing. The man of faith does not chase these things. They are drawn to his vibration. Faith magnetizes the very conditions it requires. What others call coincidence is often law in action. Infinite intelligence arranges the stage for those who have mastered stillness. You will also notice that fear loses its power. Fear is born of disconnection from law. When you feel separate from the source, you fear loss. When you know you are one with the source, loss becomes impossible. The man who walks in faith may face storms, but he knows the storms serve him. They carry him to higher ground. What once terrified him now instructs him. This is how fear transforms into reverence. Reverence is the highest form of courage. It is not arrogance before danger, but awareness of divine presence amid it. The man who reveres life cannot panic, for he sees the hand of infinite intelligence in all events. Even sorrow becomes sacred, for it deepens understanding. Even failure becomes holy, for it teaches humility. The man renewed in spirit finds beauty in what once appeared tragic, meaning in what once appeared random. Let this truth settle deeply within you. Faith is not a mood, it is a law. It does not rise and fall with circumstance. It does not depend upon the day's weather or the crowd's opinion. Faith is a fixed principle as steady as gravity. It works for the man who believes in it and against the man who violates it. To renew the spirit is to surrender to that law completely, without reservation, without fear. In this state, life becomes simpler. You cease to struggle for control because you understand that control is already established by divine law. Your task is only to align, not to force. This understanding frees the mind from worry. Worry is the illusion of separation. Faith is the awareness of unity. When you know that infinite intelligence governs all, anxiety becomes unnecessary. When the spirit is renewed, the countenance changes. A calm radiance begins to shine from your face, a quiet certainty from your manner. Those who knew you before may say, "He is different." They will not know why they feel drawn to your presence. It is because spiritual renewal transmits a vibration of peace that every soul recognizes. The man of faith does not convince. He compels by example. If you would keep this flame alive, you must tend it daily. Gratitude, silence, obedience, and trust are its fuel. Neglect them, and the fire dims. Feed them, and it burns eternal. Do not think of this renewal as an event. Think of it as a relationship. You are not visiting infinite intelligence. You are uniting with it. Understand now that every trial you have endured, every hardship you have faced, was not meant to destroy you, but to bring you here. To this awareness, without difficulty, you would never have learned obedience to law. Without failure, you would never have sought higher guidance. Infinite intelligence often conceals its gifts within struggle so that only the faithful discover them. You are now among those few. When you rise each morning, remind yourself, "I am guided." When uncertainty comes, whisper, "There is order here, though I cannot yet see it." When fatigue weighs upon you, say, "The same power that made the sun also renews me." These are not hopeful words. They are statements of eternal fact. To speak them is to remind the mind of what the spirit already knows. The renewal of spirit completes the inner trinity. Body disciplined, mind reconstructed, soul aligned. The man who possesses these three walks through life with an authority that cannot be taught only earned he no longer measures success by wealth alone, but by peace, by mastery, by purpose fulfilled. The world may call him fortunate, but he knows he is faithful. Now that your spirit is renewed, you stand at the threshold of power in its purest form. You have ceased to live as a man reacting to life and begun to live as a man cooperating with it. You have discovered that infinite intelligence is not distant but ever present, not abstract but practical, not mystical but methodical. You are no longer at war with the world. You are in rhythm with it. Carry this awareness into all that follows. Let it inform every word, every decision, every movement. The world will test this new faith. It must. But the man who has touched his own spirit cannot be broken. His calm is not an act, it is essence. His strength is not borrowed, it is eternal, he is renewed, and therefore unstoppable. There comes a day, after the long silence and the long labor, when a man steps back into the world, and the world does not know him. He walks the same streets, speaks to the same faces, breathes the same air, yet something invisible separates him from who he once was. He has crossed an unseen threshold. He has become the master of himself. And though he wears the same name, he is no longer the same man. This is the hour of return. It is not a celebration, but a revelation. For what has been built within must now shape the world without. The transformation completed in solitude must now prove itself in society. The man who has disciplined his body, reconstructed his mind, and renewed his spirit stands as a vessel through which infinite intelligence expresses itself. He is no longer guided by circumstance, but by inner law. When you return after your 90 days, you will notice how differently you see everything. The noise that once pulled your attention will now sound like distant thunder. The chaos that once disturbed you will no longer penetrate your calm. You will begin to realize that the outer world has not changed. You have. What once seemed urgent will now appear trivial. What once intimidated you will now feel small before your certainty. You will walk among the same people, but you will see them through new eyes. Where you once saw judgment, you will now see fear. Where you once saw competition, you will see confusion. You will no longer be provoked by the pettiness of others, because you will recognize in them the version of yourself you left behind. The man who conquers himself ceases to wrestle with shadows. He moves through the world as through mist, untouched, unseen in motive, yet unmistakable in influence. This transformation is not visible in clothing or speech, though both will refine naturally. It is visible in your composure. There will be a rhythm in your walk, a stillness in your presence, a conviction in your gaze that no training can simulate. Those around you will feel it before they understand it. Some will feel peace in your company, others will feel discomfort. The light of certainty always unsettles those who live by doubt. You will not need to explain your transformation. The man who must explain himself still seeks validation. Power needs no witness. The oak does not announce its strength. It simply stands, so too must you. Your silence will carry more authority than the noise of many voices. Those who mocked your solitude will now study your stillness and wonder what secret you discovered while they were busy talking. Understand that when you return, you carry a vibration the world cannot ignore. Infinite intelligence radiates through every disciplined thought, every ordered act, every calm decision. The people around you may not understand this power, but they will respond to it instinctively. They will trust your word, seek your counsel, and follow your example, though you command nothing. This is the essence of leadership, not position, but presence. You will become, in effect, a mirror for others. They will see in you what they could be. Your composure will awaken their buried strength. Your focus will expose their drifting. Do not use this power to boast or to judge. Use it to serve. True mastery is never arrogant. It is benevolent. You will find that service becomes your natural language, for the man who has found himself no longer fears loss. He gives freely, knowing that what flows through him cannot be exhausted. The law of correspondence will now become visible to you. You will watch as your outer world aligns perfectly with your inner condition. The order you built within will reflect in your affairs. The peace you cultivated in silence will attract harmonious relationships. The precision of your thought will reveal itself in opportunity. Infinite intelligence does not reward effort. It reflects alignment. As within, so without. Do not be surprised if, in the early days of your return, you feel somewhat detached from others. You will see them hurrying, arguing, chasing, while you remain unmoved. This is not pride. It is perspective. You are watching the motion of men still ruled by emotion. You have risen above the fog of impulse into the clear air of principle. Do not descend again to convince them. Lift them if they are willing, but keep your altitude. The law of continuance must now govern your life. The habits that created your transformation must be maintained. Many men climb a mountain, glimpse the view, and descend again to the valley of distraction. They forget that mastery is not an event, but a maintenance. The 90 days were your foundation. Now you must build upon it daily. Keep your rhythm, guard your silence. Preserve your solitude, even in company. The great danger of success is forgetfulness. When the mind grows strong, it begins to believe it no longer needs the discipline that built its strength. When the man feels powerful, he forgets the source of power. This is why humility is essential. Humility keeps the channel open between man and infinite intelligence. Pride closes it. The proud man believes he commands law. The humble man knows he obeys it. And it is the obedient who are entrusted with greater dominion. Your humility will not be meekness. It will be strength under control. You will no longer seek to prove your worth, for you will know it. The man who has walked with infinite intelligence does not debate his value. He demonstrates it quietly. He honors every task, whether great or small, for he understands that the same law governs both. He respects the janitor as he does the king, for he knows that both are instruments of the same intelligence in different degrees of expression. Andrew Carnegie once said that he could tell within moments whether a man would rise or fall. It was not in his speech, nor his education, but in his presence. The men who carried calm assurance, the ones who listened more than they spoke, were those who would eventually command industries. Carnegie understood the vibration of purpose. He recognized that true power cannot be faked. It must be lived. You are now such a man. From this point forward, your influence will extend beyond words. It will emanate through character. People will say, "He has changed." But they will not grasp the full meaning. They will see only the outer effects, your decisiveness, your patience, your control. They will not know that these are but shadows cast by the light within. The world sees the fruit. Infinite intelligence knows the root, and your roots now reach into divine soil. You will discover also that opportunity no longer feels like chance. It appears as if drawn by magnet. People of integrity will cross your path. Resources will gather at your command. But remember, these things come not as reward, but as responsibility. Infinite intelligence grants increase only to those who can distribute it. The wealth you attract must circulate through service. Use it to build, not to boast. In this new season, your speech must remain deliberate. Do not waste words on trivial argument. Speak only when words advance purpose. Each word carries vibration. Undisciplined speech scatters power. Let your language be few but final. When you speak, speak with conviction born of inner certainty, and those around you will listen as though hearing the voice of their own conscience. Your conduct will now preach where your words cannot. Your calm in crisis will inspire. Your order under pressure will instruct. Your refusal to gossip or complain will rebuke without a single reprimand. You will lead by example, and men will follow, not because they are told, but because they are moved. Leadership by vibration is the highest form of authority. This transformation will not make you immune to trial, but it will make you superior to it. Trials will still come, for they are instruments of refinement. Yet where once you reacted, now you will respond. Where once you doubted, now you will decide. You will not escape adversity. You will use it. Every obstacle will become a forge for greater wisdom. Every failure will sharpen understanding. To the man who lives by principle, even misfortune becomes a teacher. In time, you will notice that success itself begins to humble you. For as your influence grows, so does your awareness of the power flowing through you, a power not of your own making. You will realize that you are not the source, but the vessel. This realization will preserve your spirit from corruption. The moment a man believes he is self-sufficient, the stream of infinite intelligence ceases to flow through him, but the man who remains reverent remains replenished. Now others will begin to ask for your guidance. They will approach you not with flattery, but with sincerity, seeking the peace they sense in you. Share freely, but teach them the same law that formed you: solitude, discipline, thought, and faith. Do not offer shortcuts. There are none. The path to mastery is narrow, but it is sure. Let your example be their proof that obedience to law brings reward. You will find that even in the midst of crowds, you carry solitude within. The noise no longer disturbs. The clamor no longer enters. You are alone, but never lonely, silent, but never empty. This inner solitude is your crown. It is the mark of a man who has learned to listen to infinite intelligence even in motion. You will live outwardly active, yet inwardly still, working through the day, but resting always in the calm of certainty. Let these affirmations guide your continued path. I have been remade by purpose. I walk with calm authority. I am the master of my time, the keeper of my faith, the servant of law. I do not strive to be seen, I strive to be effective. Say them not for vanity, but for remembrance. For the danger of success is amnesia, the forgetting of what shaped you. Every time you repeat these words, you renew the connection to the silent strength that birthed them. You will observe that those who once doubted you will begin to speak your name with respect. Those who dismissed you will now consult you, but guard your heart against pride. Accept honor as you would accept weather. It changes with the season. What must remain constant is purpose. Serve faithfully and let reputation manage itself. In this final stage, your life becomes proof of principle. You no longer talk of faith, you embody it. You no longer strive for success, you radiate it. You no longer chase peace, you carry it. The man who has rebuilt himself in alignment with infinite intelligence does not chase the world, for the world now revolves to meet him. The legacy of your 90 days will not end with you. Those around you, your family, your companions, your children, perhaps even strangers, will be touched by your transformation. They will feel the weight of your calm, the gravity of your certainty. They will see that mastery is not loud but steady. You will become, without proclamation, a living testimony to the law that shaped you. The old self has been buried with honor. The new self stands in dominion. You are not who you were when you began. You are not even who you thought you would become. You are something greater, a man fused with law, guided by faith, sustained by discipline, commanded by purpose. You are at last the unrecognizable man. So when you return to the world, do not announce yourself. Simply live as the law demands. Let your orders speak. Let your results testify. Let your peace proclaim your allegiance to infinite intelligence. For the world will know without your saying that you disappeared not to escape but to evolve. Remember always, disappearance was never loss. It was consecration. It was the season where the old was shed and the immortal awakened. You withdrew as a man uncertain of himself. You return as one certain of the universe. You left searching for power. You return realizing you are power. Carry this truth with you until the final breath. No man is ever the same after he meets himself in silence. No man remains small after he obeys the law of growth. No man can drift again after he has tasted dominion over thought. You have passed through the fire and emerged forged. You have walked through darkness and found the light within. You have vanished from the crowd and returned as a guide. The world may not understand the magnitude of your transformation, but it will feel it, for the vibration of a disciplined, renewed, and faithful soul changes everything it touches. And so I say to you now, walk forward, calm and unhurried. Do not look back. Do not explain. Simply be. The world will take notice, for infinite intelligence walks with you. Disappear for 90 days and return unrecognizable.